been a day much like the last, gray, uninviting, and seemingly mundane. I remember spending an extra hour or so in bed, contemplating my decision some 68 years ago to begin life-extending gene treatments. The treatments had been around for about a decade at that point, popularized first amongst the wealthy. As time went by, the price of the treatment went down, making it more accessible to middle-class people like myself. I pursued the treatments for around a month, which according to estimations from the doctors, extended my life about a century and a half, excluding any sort of fatal accident, of course. I remember thinking about my age that morning. I figured that at 132 years old, I was then around middle-aged. I certainly felt it, not necessarily in my body, as the gene treatments provide excellent regenerative capabilities, but in my mind. I think the monotony of modern life saps my inspiration some days. When I began the treatments, the natural aspects of the world, such as fishing and camping, could still be enjoyed. However, as time progressed and nations failed to get their emissions under control, the natural ecosystems had degraded so badly they could no longer be enjoyed. Global weirding caused such irregular and volatile weather patterns that most people rarely step outside. They mostly spend their time in whichever virtual realms are popular amongst their generation. Once I finally roused myself from the slumberous disposition, I contemplated the day. With so much free time, I had a hard time finding enough things to do. The news that morning was the same as any morning, some sought-after mineral harvested from some new solar system. Since world peace following the final war, the global regime has focused its efforts on using robots to colonize the universe. Each year, a new system colonized, a new system harvested. Society celebrates these achievements in various ways. This year, the colonization of the Mammothian system is being memorialized by the reintroduction of mammoth meat to our diet. They announced that authentic European woolly mammoth meat has been introduced as a new protein option, produced from DNA from the late Middle Pleistocene. Perhaps it's my generation, but I don't enjoy spending all my waking hours in the virtual realms. However, when I do, I spend my time in eras like the late Middle Pleistocene, where I can hunt big game and spend time in untouched nature. As a result, I was deeply excited for this announcement. The mammoth meat arrived that evening. Although it arrived exactly on schedule, waiting felt like an eternity as I paced to and fro. If I had had it my way, I would have taken it to the bush to cook it on an open flame, like I do in the virtual realms. Unfortunately, the regime stopped giving permits to access rural areas many years ago. Suddenly it appeared. I took it in my hands. The marbling was incredible. The smell was insatiably gaming. My senses were beyond tantalized. I prepared it as best I could, searing it in its own fats. No salt, no pepper, no butter or oil. I ate it with no utensils, like I imagined a Neanderthal or early sapien would do. It was the simplest and best meal I've ever had.